Dr. Joe from the Dr. Joe Show here. Welcome, viewers. And here we are with episode 5 of Fake or Fine, an internet series where we order Cuban cigars from various sites and determine whether they're the real deal or a box of bogies. And here I have, if you remember the end of the last episode, a box of Gloria Cubana Medaille D'Ors number 2s from cigar1.com. Now, I will show you this box and go through it, and we already know these are real. These are 100% genuine. I know they're real, but I'll show you what the real thing looks like. Because Medaille D'Ors are a little confusing, and you'll find out why in a minute. Anyway, on the other hand, that box on the table over there is cigars, or are cigars, from a site called cigarsofcuba.com. Now, be careful. There are 2 sites called cigarsofcuba.com. One, the one we're talking about in this episode, is cigars-of-cuba.com, not cigarsofcuba, one word.com. So be careful if you go on the internet. Both are retailers, and the latter, I have no idea what you'll get. One day we'll find out, hopefully. But be careful of things like that. Sometimes Cigars of Cuba, the one with the hyphens, the one we're talking about here, claims to be one of the oldest, if not the oldest, online Cuban cigar retailer on the internet today. I think they claim to be online for 14 years or something. I don't know if that's the oldest, but they say they are. Anyway, Medaille D'Ors number 2 in that box, Medaille D'Ors number 4, and basically we're going to look at these real ones real quick. I'll show you what to expect, and then we'll open up those and see if we get the same thing. And this should be some fun. Just to let you know, we have another episode of Cigar Collectibles coming up real soon. I have ordered another jar. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. I want you to be surprised. It's a nice one, not an extremely rare one. We'll get into those a little later on, but I think you'll like what we have to present to you. So with no further ado, let's get into the boxes. And stay tuned. Thank you. Okay, so first, since we already have it out in front of us, let's quickly go over our box of Medaille D'Ors from last episode's site, cigar1.com. If you remember, we got the beautiful Partagas jar from them. You can see that in the episode of Cigar Collectibles. And we got a box of La Gloria Cubana Gloriosos UK Regional Edition. Those were absolutely genuine and gorgeous as well. This is a box of Medaille D'Ors number 2s. All Medaille D'Ors come in outer cartons, as you can see. Outer carton, and they have these little white tags that basically identify what's inside the carton. That white tag has been the same way for decades. I don't know how long, but it's always been there. It's always been like that. You have your Cuban seal on the outside, okay, and unfortunately, for a lot of collectors, you have your box date on the outside. These are very fresh. OGA September 2011, the end of last year. I say unfortunately because there are retailers out there who have Medaille D'Ors from 1995, 1988, 1988. There's a site out there, one of the sites we actually reviewed, who had a box of 1988 Medaille D'Ors number 2s. Now, I really wanted those, man. How wonderful it would be to have a box of 1988 Medaille D'Ors number 2s. Problem being, the box date is on the outer carton. He wanted $900 something. I said, that's ridiculous. Give me a better price. He said $700. Okay, that's still ridiculous. But you know what? I'm an asshole. I'm an idiot. I'll go for it. So then something tells me, you know what, let's just make sure we're getting what we really want. And I start talking to him, and, I don't know how it came up. He said, that's what he said. He said, okay, I was ready to order. He said, unfortunately, I do not have the outer carton. Is that okay? And I emailed him back and said, well, that would be fine. I don't care, but isn't the date on the outer carton? He emails me back, yes, unfortunately, the date is on the outer carton. I email him back, so there's no date on the box itself. Because actually, I've never seen a box from '88. They may have put the dates. I really don't know. I've seen Medaille D'Ors before, but not '88s, and nothing that old. No, the date is not on the inner box. Email them back. So how am I supposed to know they're from 1988? Well, the bands, you'll see, look much older than the bands they're releasing now. Hold. Here's the problem, and herein lies the problem why I said before, Gloria Cubanas are confusing. They are one of, if not the only brand, where the factory has yet to change the dies on the embossing for the bands. Meaning that you get some really old-style Cuban bands on some very new cigars. Gloria Cubana, you can look this up on the Cuban Cigar website, our favorite reference. They did make a new band, not the one from the Gloriosos, a new band that looks just like the bands you're about to see, but all super embossed and, you know, high resolution, really, really nice looking. However, that band was only on special editions. The Immensos, the Swedish Triumphos, the Cuban Deliciosos, only on those special editions. They did not apply the new band to Medaille D'Ors. In fact, Medaille D'Ors, at the time the new bands came out, were discontinued. That's right. Just about every size, I think every size at one point was discontinued. Up to this date, number 1s and number 3s are still unavailable, still discontinued. They only recently reinstated number 2s and number 4s, the boxes I've just ordered. So, that means, what does that mean? That means that all Gloria Cubanas, even these here from September 2011, have some funky looking bands. You're gonna, if you ordered these and you didn't know anything, didn't know any better, you'd be like, oh my God, they're counterfeit. Because the bands look like shit. They really do. They don't look that bad. They don't look like really, really bad, but they don't look like the bands you see on newer cigars. And that's okay. And that's why we have this show, and that's why you need this knowledge, because otherwise you really wouldn't know what you're doing. And that's no offense. That's just the people who say, you know what, I don't need to watch this, I'll just order whatever. Fine, you order whatever. You're going to get a box of fake cigars. These are real, and I'm going to show you the bands in a second. Anyway, long story short, did I order from that guy? Of course not. Why? Because he stopped being honest with me. The second that happens, the second somebody starts giving me the runaround, it's over. So I already don't trust you until I get my cigars. There's no way I'm going to order from you and you start telling me things like, oh, you'll be able to tell because the bands are really old. Yeah, I would have gotten that box and the bands would look really old. But guess what? I got a box of 2011s here and the bands look really old. Unbelievable. So, be very careful of stuff like that. Always ask questions before you order, especially vintage cigars, especially stuff that came in cartons with the box dates on the outside. There's no way to know that they're 1988s. I'm sorry. There's no way. You could have a nose like a bloodhound and be a collector for fucking 100 years. There's no way to know that those cigars were made in 1988. They may look old. You may be able to say, yeah, they're definitely, they could have been made in 98. They could have been made, 10 years ago. They look that old, but there's no way to know. There's just no way. And without a factory code or a box date, the two most important pieces of information on older cigars, there's just no way to know. You may be thinking, oh, what about the serial number on the Cuban seal? Yeah, very, very good, except that's on the outside as well. You get nothing. And without anything, especially with a bunch of bullshit in an email and some guy, ain't going to happen. So,